Hi, folks. Welcome to the stream. On today's episode, we're going to be going over March of the Machine for Magic the Gathering. I gotta say, there's so many cool cards coming out, and I can't wait to go over them with you. So, today's website we're going to be using is magicspoiler.com. This is where we're going to be reviewing all the cards that have been already spoiled. So, if you're going to hope you enjoy today's content. Don't forget to hit that follow button on my Twitch channel for more streams. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel on YouTube for all the past streams. So, enough talking. Let's go ahead and start talking about some of these cards. Alright, our very first card review is going to be this uncommon card called Zephyrian Lancer. It is a 3-mana, 3/3 human knight. There's an uncommon card for March of the Machine. It reads, whenever another knight enters the battlefield under your control, it gets +1/+1 and gains Vigilance until end of turn. So, this may go into a little knight tribal deck. I doubt it though, but it's probably going to just see limited play. On a scale of like 1 to 10, I probably give this like a 4 out of 10. Just an average limited play card. Let's go ahead and talk about the next card. Alright, the next card we are going to talk about is the Invasion of Dominaria. It's a 3-mana battle. It's a siege. This is a brand new kind of card in the game of Magic the Gathering. Here's what it reads. As a siege enters, choose an opponent to protect it. You and others can attack it. When it's defeated, exile it and then cast it transformed. This card reads, when Invasion of Dominaria enters the battlefield, you gain 4 life and draw 1 card. And it looks like it has it's kind of like how Planeswalkers have loyalty counters. Well, it looks like this is going to have like some sort of siege counter. Looks like there's 5 siege counters on it. And what happens when you defeat the siege? You get a little surprise inside. You flip the card over. It looks like in this one, you get Serra Faith Keeper. An angel with flying and vigilance as a 4/4. And honestly, I can see it. It's just a nice little flip card. And sure, this can probably see some constructed play. Flying and Vigilance are always good and limited. And just entering the battlefield and gaining some life and drawing a card is always good. I give this ranking a 7 out of 10. I can maybe see this in constructed play, but definitely going to be a nice limited card. Our next card is Baral and Kari Zev. A 3-mana Legendary creature, human. This costs 1 generic, 1 island, and 1 mountain. This creature has first strike and menace. Whenever you cast your first instant or sorcery spell each turn, you may cast a spell with lesser mana value that shares a card type with it from your hand without paying its mana cost. If you don't, create First Mate Ragavan, a legendary 2/1 red monkey pirate creature token. It gains haste until end of turn. So that's pretty interesting. Say for instance you cast Lightning Bolt and you don't have anything else in your hand. You get a monkey. But if you cast a spell like Divination, that's a 3 mana spell, and you have another like sorcery spell that costs 2, you can cast that for free. This is definitely going to be like a blue-red spells deck if constructed play. And First Strike and Menace is always good. And for 3 mana, you get a 2/4, which are stats are pretty good. Overall, I would give this card a 7 out of 10. And honestly, this will fit in a good Izzet Spells deck, because Baral always has been known to decrease the spells cost. And Kari Zev she's alright. I mean, but Ragavan has always been good. Up next is Invasion of Tarkir, a 2-mana siege. When it enters the battlefield, reveal any number of dragon cards from your hand. When you do, Invasion of Tarkir deals X plus 2 damage to any other target, where X is the number of cards revealed this way. And unfortunately, X cannot be 0. When the siege leaves the battlefield and flips over, it becomes Defiant Thundermaw, a flying trampled dragon with whenever a dragon you control attacks, it deals 2 damage to any target. If you're going to put this in a dragon tribal deck, this will be a good card. Otherwise, I see this card maybe just seeing a little bit of limited play. Don't get me wrong, a 4/4 dragon is always fun to play around, especially with this text right here, making your other dragons, when they attack, deal 2 damage to anything. This is a mythic, too. I see this maybe being a 5 out of 10. Just a nice average card that only works in specific archetypes, and hopefully those going to show up they're going to show some more dragons in this set. So maybe this will be a little bit better. Our next card is Rankle and Torbran. These are 2 characters that are from the Throne of Eldraine set. It is a 5 mana legendary creature, fairy dwarf. Flying, first strike, haste. Whenever Rankle and Torbran deal combat damage to a player or battle, choose any number. Each player creates a treasure token. Each player sacrifices a creature. If a source would deal damage to a player or battle this turn, it deals that much damage plus 2. And it's a 3/4. So this is pretty nice. So Rankle, I remember, had haste and flying, and Torbran always made your red sources deal extra damage. So this is a nice melding of the 2 creatures. Definitely will be a limited bomb, but for constructed play, I can see this maybe in like a Rakdos kind of aggro deck. But I would say this will be like a 7 out of 10. Alright, so our next card is Voldaren Thrillseeker. A 3-mana 1/1 vampire warrior with a new mechanic called Back Up. This one has Back Up 2. And it reads this: when this creature enters the battlefield, put 2 +1/+1 counters on target creature. If that's another creature, it gains the following ability until end of turn. And that ability would be this ability. You pay 1 mana of any color, sacrifice this creature, and it deals damage equal to its power to any target. Kind of interesting to be honest with you. Another new mechanic. If you're going to be playing a lot of creatures, this might be pretty good in limited. And in constructed though, I don't know. This might be a little weaker than any other kind of mechanic we've seen so far. Hopefully there'll be some good backup support in this set, and maybe my opinion on backup will change. But for right now, I'm going to give this card a 4 out of 10. It could work in limited, but in constructed, I don't really see it. The next card is Chrome Host Seed Shark. A 3-mana 2/4 Phyrexian Shark with flying. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, incubate X, where X is that spell's mana value. You might be thinking, what the hell is incubate? Well, here's what it is. You create an incubator token with X +1/+1 counters on it, and it has 2 mana, transform this artifact. It transforms into a 0/0 Phyrexian artifact creature. So this card really reminds me of Shark Typhoon, where whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you make an XX shark with flying, where X was that mana value of that sorcery or instant. Something tells me this is going to be just like that, but whenever you cast like anything, Siege, Planeswalker, anything that's a non-creature spell, Seed Shark is going to be making some tokens, and then those tokens will be very big things. I can definitely see this in like a blue-white control deck where spells and instance, like a lot of like non-creature spells are going to be your main source. This is definitely going to be a really good card in that kind of constructed deck. In limited, you're going to have to find enough non-creature spells to use it, because it may not be good enough for limited. But constructed, this is probably going to be a really good card. I give this card an 8 out of 10. Our next card is Grafted Butcher, a 2-mana 2/2 Phyrexian Samurai. When it enters the battlefield, Phyrexians you control gain menace until end of turn, and other Phyrexians you control get +1/+1. You may pay 4 mana, sacrifice an artifact or creature, return the Butcher from your graveyard to the battlefield. Only activate as a sorcery. Alright, so we have a Phyrexian Lord. Lords are always pretty good. And hopefully, when you cast this creature, you already have a lot of other Phyrexians on the battlefield. That way you can give them menace. I can see this Lord being pretty good in limited, because I'm sure there's going to be plenty of Phyrexian support. Even in standard, with a lot of the Phyrexians that popped out in All Will Be One, I'm sure this will find a home somewhere in those kinds of decks. But overall, I would give this card like a 6 out of 10. Has to work in a Phyrexian deck, otherwise it's just going to sit there and do nothing. Alright, we have a reprint here. This is Monastery Mentor, a 3-mana 2/2 human monk with prowess. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, create a 1/1 white monk creature token with prowess. I'm glad this card is getting a reprint. When this was in the Tarkir standard, this was a very popular card. And now it's a very expensive card. Hopefully with this reprint of the card, the price of this card will go down. This card was like $25 to $30 a piece. And if that means if you wanted a play set, you're paying almost $100 just for a play set. Just way too much money. So I'm very thankful this card is getting a reprint, and it's a good card. Hopefully in this standard environment it will get some play, but I can probably see this in like a blue-white control deck where you're making a lot of like non-creature spells and activating those prowess effects. But I'd give this card an 8 out of 10. Our next card is Zurgo and Ojutai, a 5-mana Orc Dragon legendary creature that's a 4/4. It has flying and haste. It also has hexproof as long as it enters the battlefield this turn. It also has this. Whenever one or more dragons you control deal combat damage to a player or battle, look at the top 3 cards of your library. Put one of them into your hand and the rest into the bottom of your library in any order. You may return one of those dragons to its owner's hand. Really interesting. This has the haste ability of Zurgo, the flying ability of Ojutai, and it also has the hexproof ability of Ojutai. This is also pretty cool, like bringing back some Tarkir buddies back from that set. I would say this is going to be a pretty nice card. A 5-mana 4/4, sure, that's okay stats. But flying and haste are always good, and hexproof as soon as it enters the battlefield, I believe that's good too. I would give this card an 8 out of 10. And it has some pretty cool artwork too. Alright, we have another siege. This is a 5-mana siege called the Invasion of Ravnica. When this enters the battlefield, exile target non-land permanent an opponent controls that isn't exactly 2 colors. And when this leaves the battlefield and gets transformed, it becomes Guildpact Paragon, an artifact creature construct. When you cast a spell that is exactly 2 colors, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal a card that is exactly 2 colors from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Okay, so this one, unfortunately, I think is going to be one of the weaker ones. Sure, there's going to be plenty of 2-color support in this coming set with all the different creatures that have 2 colors or more. And don't get me wrong, getting a 5/5 for 5 is fine. But I don't know. I can maybe see this card being okay and limited, but I don't know if it's really going to see constructed play. I give this card a 5 out of 10. Sorry about this. Alright, we have another siege. This one's called the Invasion of Tolvada. A 5-mana siege. When enters the battlefield, return target non-battle permanent from your graveyard to the battlefield. And when the siege leaves the field, this becomes an enchantment called the Broken Sky. Creature tokens you control get +1/+0 and have lifelink. At the beginning of your end step, create a 1/1 black and white spirit token with flying. Alright, so it looks like we got a graveyard support card. This can maybe work in limited, and if this can find like a black-white graveyard synergy deck, this might work as well. And the flip side of it, giving your, if you have like a good support of tokens, sure, this can work out. But I can just see this being like an average card. I give this a 6 out of 10. Alright, so our next card we're going to go over is the Invasion of New Phyrexia. It's a siege with X blue-white. When it enters the battlefield, you create X 2/2 white and blue knight creature tokens with Vigilance. And X is the amount of mana you made with the siege. When this leaves the battlefield, you get Teferi, Akosa of Zhalfir. Teferi reads: draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards unless you discard a creature card. That's his +1. His -2 has you get an emblem with knights you control, get +1/+0, and have ward 1. And his -3 is tap X creatures you control. When you do, shuffle target non-land permanent an opponent controls with mana X or less into its owner's library. Okay, so this is a flip Teferi card. Honestly, it seems alright. If you have a lot of knight support, sure, this could work out with the +1/+0 and ward 1. But I can see this only being like a draw engine. Like draw 2 cards, discard some useless cards, draw 2 cards, discard some cards. I know in Brothers War there was some good blue-white soldiers support, but I didn't really see knight support. But I give this like an average card of like a 6 out of 10. This could work in maybe limited, and it could maybe find a home somewhere in like maybe blue-white control or knight tribal. Alright, so looks like this website's having some issues, so these cards right in front of me will be going over one at a time. The first card to your left is Guardian of Ghirapur. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right or not, but it's a 3-mana 3/3 angel with flying that reads, when it enters the battlefield, exile up to one target creature or artifact you control, and then return it under your control. If you have like an enter the battlefield kind of creature deck, this can maybe work. But since this card doesn't have like a flash or anything, this is not a good card that can protect your creature from being targeted by an instant or sorcery spell. I'll give this card like 4 out of 10. I mean, a 3/3 flyer in limited will be fine, but in constructed, I doubt this will see any play. Alright, so to speed up some process, we're just going to go over these cards like so. The card in the middle is Mirrodin Avenged. It reads, destroy target creature that was dealt damage this turn, draw a card, and check out this artwork. So, it looks like it's Karn holding the head of Elesh Norn. Holy crap. Did Elesh Norn get her head decapitated? If so, thank goodness. She was going nuts in the last set, and she's going nuts in this set. Yeah, this looks really cool artwork, honestly. But reading the card, a black instant that destroys a creature that dealt damage to you, and you get to draw a card. Sure, that looks great. I would have to give this card like a 7 out of 10. Especially because of the artwork. Alright, so here's another card, Elspeth's Smite. Elspeth's Smite deals 3 damage to target attacking or blocking creature, and if that creature would die, instead, exile it. And look at this. Looks like Elspeth is piercing her sword through Elesh Norn's chest. And this might be the possibility of the decapitation of Elesh Norn's head. Really cool artwork again. But doing 3 damage to a target attacking or blocking creature, that's always a good card in limited. The artwork is really nice. I'd give this card like I did the other card, a 7 out of 10. Alright, so it looks like another card that's getting a reprint is Negate. Negate is a classic instant spell that counters a target non-creature spell for 2 mana, which, hey, that's always good and limited, but I've seen this card so many times, I'll give it a 5 out of 10. Our next card we're going to go over is Transcendent Message. It is 4 blue and X with Convoke. You draw X cards for an instant. If you do this on your end step and you draw like a nice amount of cards, I can see this being good. Otherwise, this card are just going to just draw you just some cards, which you can't go wrong with drawing cards, don't get me wrong. But I get this card like a 5 out of 10. So the next card we're going to go over is Seal from Existence. It's a 3 mana enchantment card with Ward 3. It reads, when it enters the battlefield, exile target non-land permanent and opponent controls until this leaves the battlefield. Alright, so I wish this card had Flash. If this card had flash, this would be a lot better, I believe. Because there is a card currently from Dominaria United that is tearing up constructed play. And it's the same exact kind of thing. It's a white enchantment. It's a ley line of... I can't think of the card. But whatever. But it's been in these domain decks in Modern, and it's a very good card. But I can see this card being good in Limited, but if it wants to be in constructed play, it's probably not going to see play. I give this card a 5 out of 10. Alright, we have another sword. This one's called Sword of Once and Future. It's a 3-mana equipment that has equipped a creature, gets +2/+2, and has protection from blue and black. When the equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, surveil 2. Then you may cast an instant or sorcery spell with mana 2 or less from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. If the spell will be put into your graveyard, exile it instead. Equip cost is 2. So, this is going to be a good sideboard card against blue and black decks. Because giving your creature protection from blue and black is always good, because what does blue and black like to do? Target your creature, destroy your creature, exile your creature, or just remove it from play or hurt it in some way. Yeah, it gets very annoying. So giving it protection from blue and black is always good. I give this card a 7 out of 10. Sorry about this little lag. Alright, so it looks like I might have to log off this webpage, but I think this is what we're going to do for now. That's where I'm going to end it. Alright, sorry about the lag issues. Some reason sometimes my internet doesn't work well, as you probably have seen before in my other videos. But I hope you enjoyed today's stream. Don't forget to hit that follow button. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button on my YouTube channel. But thank you again for watching, and I hope you all have a great day.